Good morning, the students of class 8. Today I am back with your social science history class, and today we are going to discuss the rest of the part of your chapter, that is the company army and the conclusion. So what are the changes made in company army in the 18th century? We will see in this subunit. First, to look at the board, that at the time that you have already known previous year, that you have read about the Mughal army, that the Mughal army was divided among mainly some parts, and their main two parts are Sawar and Paidal. The Sawars are the cavalry, and you know that they made the Mansabdars according to their number of cavalrymen and all this. They call it Jat. So you know that. So this is Sawars. So Sawars are very important cavalrymen, and meaning is cavalrymen, the horsemen, the soldiers on the back of horse. And next one, Paidal. Paidal means the infantry or foot soldiers. They are just walking and march towards the battlefield with their weapons. So these foot soldiers were given training in archery, in tirandazi, and the use of sword. They also learned the use of sword and tirandazi, and which was very useful in the battle. So in 18th century, and also those infantrymen also present in the forces of the provincial rulers, the subedars and the local governors, and also some jamindars. So at the time of battle, you have already known that the Mughal subedars and the jagirdars, they have to help and the mansabdars, the jagirdar, mansabdars and the jamindars had to help the Mughal Empire with their army. And most of the time they sent their Paidal army. The Paidal army was the main feature of at that time and the warfare of the medieval period. Now in modern era, the modern Indian history, we have seen that in 18th century, after the disintegration, Mughal successor state Awadh and Banaras started recruiting peasants and training them as professional soldiers. Under Sadat Khan and rulers of Banaras, they started recruiting the peasants, because UP and Bihar, today's UP and Bihar, at that time, those regions, a lot of the main occupation of the peoples are farming. They are mainly farmers, or peasants. So now they started recruiting their soldiers mainly from the peasants at the northern portion of India, and train them as professional soldiers. After a few months training, they become a professional soldier. So whenever their rulers called them, they joined with their army and served. And rest of the time, they also back to their fields and they started their farming. So now, East India Company, when first arrived in India, they also looked after this method, and they also observed this method, and they following the same thing, and they also recruiting the peasants into their company army, East India Company army, because at that time, to conquer all over the Indian subcontinent, you know that various battles they had fought in the previous classes, and on those battles, most of the soldiers are from Indian peasants, because it is not possible to bring back all those soldiers from the England and fight here. And their salaries also, they have also paid very less salary in terms of the European soldiers. And also European soldiers are deployed in the other colonies of the East India Company. So it is not possible to bring all the soldiers from England. So that's why they use these peasants, and they are called Sepoy army. Those peasants army are called Sepoy army because this came from the Hindi word Sipahi, means soldiers. So they are called Sepoy army. What happened next? from 1820s, the use of cavalry become obsolete. Why? Because at that time, the use of cavalry, the soldiers on the horseback, are totally obsolete. Because at that time, company army fighting in Egypt, Afghanistan, and Burma. So these are in three different situations and different geographical locations. They were fighting, and they were using musket. Musket, what is musket? It is a heavy gun. It is a heavy gun used by them. They have to refuel it. They have to reload it after one shot. So this is musket. And the number two, matchlocks. What is matchlocks? It is also a one type of gun, and an early type of gun ignited by a matchstick. So this is matchlocks. So these two type of guns used in the battles. So then need pace and changing military requirements with these guns. So they need systematic order to reload those guns and to move forward with a strategic technique, with a strategic process. So that's why the cavalrymen are obsolete. They no need to. They is not recruiting. They stop recruiting the cavalrymen from India company army. Now, from 19th century, uniform military culture and European style training were introduced also in British East India Company's military, and drill and discipline regulated their life. Previously, they were designated, they were part-time soldiers. Most of the time, they are recruited from the peasantry, but now they are become professional soldiers, and they trained with a various way and for a long time to be professional soldiers, and they recruited in different parts of the subcontinent as well as the outside of subcontinent for the British East India Company. But there is a problem. When the drill and discipline introduced in the army, all the soldiers, they had to sit and to eat and live together. But most of the soldiers, they came from different religion, different caste, and the society, and different provinces, obviously. So it is very difficult to those people, those maintaining the caste divisions. The upper caste Brahmins could not sit with the lower caste Dalits, but at that time they had to sit together, they had to eat together and live together, and they also fight with each other, fight with one another, fight together against the opponent enemy. So these things, I think it is very difficult for them to accustom with this system. So, and these things finally we will see in future chapters, in chapter number 5, that how these things led to a mutiny, and the religious problem, all these caste-based problems also included as a reason of the mutiny. Okay, now we conclude the chapter. That now we have seen that all the previous sub-units of East India Company, British East India Company, one by one, using their different policies. They first came in India in 1600 as a soldier, as a trader, and after they established their first factory in Surat 1611, after they established their first factory in Bengal 1651 in Hooghly, they established Kolkata in 1697, after they started some corruption, they not giving the taxes to the Bengal Nawabs, and they also captured the rest of the part, and the rest of they also outplayed the other European powers like French East India Company, the Dutch East India Company, the Portuguese also, and they took over control all over the Indian trade, and finally with the Battle of Plassey, their political power was introduced in Indian subcontinent. They got the Diwani of Bengal, they possessed a puppet ruler in Bengal as a Mirzapur, and after the Battle of Buxar, their power more consolidated. And in this way, after that, we have seen that they using three different policies: the subsidiary alliance, the doctrine of lapse, and also the claim of paramountcy. They captured all the Indian states, Now they consolidated their administration, and now they reorganized their army also. So in this way, they are almost 17% of the population was under the direct control of the British rule by 19th century, and almost 63% of the land masses also under their direct rule. And it was happened because at that time the scientific and technological advancement was also occurred. That in 19th century the invention of steam engine also helped them to reach India more quickly. Previously it was 6 to 8 months to come to India, any European or any Britishers. Now it is very easy. Within 3 weeks, with the help of steam engine, those ships came to India within 3 weeks from England. So now more family members and more British people came to India with their own purposes. So in this way, India become slowly and become the colony of East India Company. And those areas are not directly under the control of British East India Company. They are also somehow controlled by the British power. So that's all from this chapter. We have seen how they captured the entire subcontinent. Next class we give you a question answer. So before that, small box is there in your book that look at the last page. Yes, the slave trade. By 1836, what is slave trade? That Dutch East India Company at that time, they also tried their luck in India, but they have failed. They had failed, but now they were successful in Africa, and they managed the slave trade. The Britishers also involved in some kind of slave trade to Africa from their American colonies. And before that, lot of slaves, more than 37,000 slaves were taken to the Europe and those American colonies for slavery. I hope you have enjoyed the class and understood everything. So next class will come with a new chapter. Thank you.